How optimistic are you that a trade deal such as this one, particularly as it encompasses China as one of the founding partners, could go some way of boosting global trade, given the issues that we've had, obviously, with the pandemic and the way that it's affected global trade, not just demand, but also supply chain logistics as well?
Kia ora. And look, we're excited about the opportunities. The timing of this trade agreement couldn't be better. At a time where there's a lot of uncertainty around trade in and out of countries around the world, the signing of this agreement with effectively, a third of the world's population offers huge opportunity into the future. It's a single set of rules, some certainty for exporters in all of those 15 countries. And we believe that it sends the right signal to the rest of the world that actually open trade is the best way forward for post-COVID recovery.
What are the growth opportunities that you see for trade from New Zealand, and does that really need to take more of a lion's share of what it can contribute to the economy, given that the closed borders, we know that the RBNZ's expectations is that we may not even see open borders for all of 2021. Does it really need to be more on the trade front, given tourism is not returning anytime soon?
No, we're a small nation. We export 85% of everything we produce, so we're totally reliant on trade. When COVID first hit, we sat down with some of our like-minded countries, Singapore in particular, and focused on the trade in essential goods. So food into some countries, obviously pharmaceuticals into countries like New Zealand that we depended on those imports. So we established very quickly the importance of agreements around trade. And that, of course, was in the middle or toward the end of RCEP. So the conclusion of this agreement is very, very timely, and it will lock in the advantages that we have seen in the COVID environment where we've realised that we must rely on one another. Very few countries in the world are totally self-sufficient. So trade in goods and a fair set of rules so that we don't have ad hoc intervention and non-tariff barriers raised is really important to give confidence to exporters and indeed, people throughout the world as their economies are trying to recover.
And as you can see, Minister, on that chart for our viewers, actually showing that the exports of New Zealand abroad, really China, your largest trading partner, exports more than doubling that of the second biggest partner, Australia. Does New Zealand rely too heavily on China?
Look, we've had a free trade agreement with them very early on, and we've enjoyed the opportunities into a fast-growing market. That will continue to be the case. We are spread among, countries around the rest of the world. We have to sign up to free trade agreements again with the EU and UK post-Brexit. So a number of challenges there, but the region here in Asia is a huge opportunity for us. China will always be a big part of that, but there are many other emerging economies that we, through RCEP and other free trade agreements, will take up opportunities as they arise.
And yet when you see the deterioration of relations between Australia and China and how that's impacting Australian exports, do you worry?
Yes, we don't see any benefit in, trade conflict or tension around the world with big or small countries. We have firmly believed and always advocated for fair trade, because we believe that the sharing of knowledge, the sharing of intellectual property, the services and goods is the best way forward. And that codependence, that interdependence, actually brings a bit more peace, a bit more harmony, and a lot better understanding of one another's countries.
Is the effectiveness and attractiveness of RCEP, as well as agreements like the TPP, hindered somewhat by the fact that the United States is not part of it? Would you welcome the US under a Biden administration to join these agreements?
Yes, of course we would. We've always advocated for the big players to be part of these agreements. They choose ultimately to make their decisions, and obviously a last-minute decision by India to withdraw from RCEP was something that all other 15 countries were disappointed, but we respected their rights to do that. We've left the door open through a declaration to ensure that should India wish to participate or engage once again, then we welcome that. The same would be true for the US and CPTPP.
Right, that was actually going to be my next question. The disappointment when it comes to India not partaking in this. What are the biggest growth opportunities, the biggest export markets for New Zealand outside of China?
Look, we think the whole of Asia, all of the other RCEP countries, and indeed into the US, we are obviously we've got a good record of trade in food and goods, but we're developing our services sector, we're developing manufacturing, and we think that the countries around the world who engage with us will see the opportunities. We are a small, creative, and innovative country. We like to think that through encouragement, our exporters can seek out those opportunities. What they need is a clear and fair set of rules through trade agreements to give them an opportunity.
What products you expect to have the most growth potential? Of course, we know that you really rely heavily on bulk exports of milk powder.
Yes, but we're moving up the value chain, and we have a title here and an objective in government to move from volume into value, so that the goods that we are producing actually are not just good value for the consumers, but actually they contribute positively to the challenges that we have around climate change, around environmental management and biodiversity. So we are looking comprehensively at production within our country and exports to make sure that people who are engaging with us can feel really good that they are contributing to a better world at a time when we do have some big challenges ahead of us.
Which products will get the most boost out of the RCEP deal, and when could those sectors expect to benefit?
Look, we think the services sector is in a very good position to take up those opportunities. Investment between the countries and into the countries of RCEP will have a clearer set of guidelines. The goods advantage or progress in that area hasn't been as ambitious as we firstly sought out to achieve, but we've accepted that goods will be traded between countries as needed, but the opportunities for New Zealand will be in services and investment as we boost our capability there.
Minister, we've seen the Kiwi dollar outperform over the past 6 months in line with the perceived economic fundamentals, the recovery and the handling of the pandemic. We're sitting at pretty close to 2-year highs for the Kiwi. Are you concerned about strength in the currency as being a hindrance to exports?
Yes, it's always a concern, but our balance of trade has been quite positive over the last 6 months as we have wound back some of the imports. So we're still performing really well in the export sector in spite of that rising dollar. Some of those exporters will be concerned if it continues to go up, but we find the right balance between managing the debt, managing the inward flow of investment, and indeed encourage our exporters to grow, but not volume, as I said, value. And so changing the quality of the products that we export is a big challenge for us, and we're doing everything we can to move up the value chain and just move from bulk exports into nutrition, into well-targeted and high-value products for consumers direct to market.